Here is my mastery project for Module 2. I will be talking about the skills and teaching points within each reading profile, as well as the assessments for each profile. The first reading profile is Pre-A readers. Pre-A readers are going to be working on skills such as letter names and sounds, letter formation, phonological awareness, which includes hearing syllables, rhymes, and initial consonant sounds, concepts of print and oral language. Next, we have skills for emergent readers. Students at this stage typically read text levels A through C. By the time students read text levels C, they should have the following skills. They should know all letters and sounds, match one-to-one, which is what they say matches what they point to as they read, control left to right directionality across several lines of print, use meaning, structure, and initial letters to figure out unknown words, form letters correctly, hear and record consonant, vowel, consonant sounds in sequence, monitor for meaning, reread a sentence to correct errors or confirm predictions, reread and write about 30 sight words, discuss a story with teacher prompting, and they should also be able to write a simple message about the book with teacher scaffolding. Right? Early readers typically read at text levels D through I. They work on skills such as monitoring for meaning and structure, monitoring for visual information, rereading at points of difficulty to access meaning and structure, using a variety of strategic actions to solve words, reading easy and familiar books with phrasing and expression, retelling what they have read, and rereading and writing about 60 to 80 sight words, as well as applying phonetic principles that they have learned. The next group is transitional readers. Transitional readers should typically read at text levels J through P, and they are a very diverse group of students, and a lot of their needs will vary. So a few things you should work on is recognizing an increasing number of sight words. And sometimes they struggle with sophisticated vocab, so that's something they should work on. They may need improvement with fluency, and some need work on comprehension because some students read too fast. Lastly, we have fluent readers. Fluent readers work on higher level comprehension strategies like inferring, summarizing, and drawing conclusions. They're usually at a level N or higher. They need to work on strategies for exploring the deeper meaning within a text, and they are proficient decoders. Now I'm going to go through assessments for each type of reader. We will begin with the Pre-A readers. The assessment for Pre-A readers is a simple one called the Letter Sound Checklist. This checklist is the only assessment you will need for Pre-A readers. It is administered individually, and it will tell you which letters and sounds students know and which ones you will need to teach. You can highlight the letters that the student knows so you can pinpoint what they need to work on. Emergent readers will have 4 different assessments: letters and sound, running record, dictated sentences, and sight words. The one I'll tell you about is running records. Running records is an assessment that will help you identify your reader's instructional reading level. It is administered individually, and it will also tell you what type of errors the student is making. You can analyze the errors and decide if the student's errors are within meaning, structure, or because of visual information. Here's an assessment summary for emergent readers. In columns 1 and 2, you're going to write the name and level range. Column 3 is where it knows letters and sounds. Here you're going to write the number of letters and the sounds that the student identified on the letter sound checklist. Column 4 is identify sight words. This is where you'll just record the number of sight words the student wrote correctly. Column 5, you're going to put the hear sounds in words. You'll use the dictated sentence to analyze how the student hears and records sounds in words. You'll put a B if the student hears and records initial consonant sounds, and an M if the student records medial vowels, and E if the student hears final consonant sounds. In column 6, this uses MSV, meaning, structure, and visualization, or visual information. You'll analyze the errors in the running records, and you'll put an M if most of the errors are meaning, S if they're structure, or V for visual information. Column 7 is matches 1-to-1. Here you're going to put a plus sign if the student is looking at the print, points to the words as he or she reads, and doesn't insert or omit words. Put a check if the student is looking at the print but sometimes says extra words or leaves words out. You'll put a minus sign if the student does not appear to be looking at the print. In column 8, you'll uses pictures. Here you'll put a plus sign if the student consistently searches a picture when encountering an unknown word. Put a check if the student occasionally searches for the picture, or a minus sign if the student does not use picture clues. Next, we have column 9, which is uses first letters. You'll put a plus sign if the student consistently uses initial letter sounds, a check if they occasionally do, a minus if they ignore first letters when it's a difficult word. Column 10 is cross checks. This is very important for emergent readers, and you're going to put a plus sign if the student consistently cross checks, a check mark if it's occasional, and minus if there's no evidence of them doing that. And the last column is just for other information you take as you are assessing them. Early readers use both reading conferences and a spelling assessment. The reading conference is administered individually, while the spelling assessment is administered within a small group. While you're doing the reading conference, you're also going to do a running record like we talked about in the last slides. The reading conference will tell you the instructional text level of your students and which strategic actions are used or neglected. The spelling assessment is used to tell you what sight words and phonics skills you need to teach. When you're analyzing the data, you should not just look at the errors or the number of errors. Instead, it's important to look at why the student made those errors and what they need to be working on, what actions you can take to help them improve their score. Here's an assessment summary for early readers. Columns 1 and 2, you're going to write the name and the level of the level range of the student. In column 3, you're going to write an M if the student is monitoring with meaning, or a V if the student monitors using visual information. In column 4, this is for solves words. You'll put a B if the student consistently matches the beginning letters of the correct word. Put an M if the student attends correctly to the middle of the word. And an E if the student matches the letter at the end of the word. In column 5, you're going to write about their fluency. You'll either write a 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 is reading very slow. 4 would be reading fluent. Column 6, you'll write about their retelling. You'll either do a plus check mark or minus sign. Plus would mean complete and detailed retelling. Check mark would be adequate, as well a minus would be limited. Column 7, you're going to write spells. It'll be spells phonetically. This is where you'll list phonics skills the student uses. Important skills for early readers include short vowels, SV, digraphs, D, blends, B, and complex vowels, CV. And then you'll also have a column for other notes. The assessments for transitional readers include the word knowledge inventory and a reading conference. The word knowledge inventory is an assessment with a carefully designed list of words for students to spell. The word knowledge inventory is administered to the whole class, and it tells you which students are struggling and need immediate intervention. You will use the sheet to highlight the features that students missed, so you can use this to adjust your teaching. During the reading conference, you will also do running records, like I showed you before. Here is the assessment summary chart for transitional readers. This is going to be just like the one before, except for it's missing a few but it also adds the word study. And the word study uses the results from the word knowledge inventory and other spelling assessments, and it identifies the phonics skills the student needs to learn. Write D if the student missed digraphs, B if blends are a problem, or V if the reader needs to learn complex vowels. And you'll write E if more work is needed on adding inflectional endings. Many students within the Fluent category are going to be working on comprehension. The assessments for Fluent readers include the word knowledge inventory and a reading conference with a comprehension interview. In this slide, you will see a picture of the comprehension interview. This is going to be administered individually, and it'll help you tell you what instructional text level the student is in, and then different comprehension strategies to be working on with that student. Here I have the assessment summary for Fluent readers. The one I have shown is for a narrative text. There is a different one for informational text. For these, you're going to write under each strategy a plus sign if the student's proficient and independent, a check if the student's partially proficient but needs some scaffolding, and a minus sign if the student demonstrates limited understanding of that strategy. The letters above represent different things. R is for retelling, Q is for asks and answers questions, S is for summarizing, V is for applies vocabulary strategies, AC is analyzing characters, I is infers, and E is evaluates. The informational text chart also has AR, which is analyzes relationships and comparing and contrasting in cause and effect. It also has TF, which is text features, and TS, which is text structures.